Welcome into All Things LA Real Estate. My name is PK Knoll. I am running point on this channel. We're heading out to Pasadena for your February real estate update. Pasadena, one of the best spots in all of Los Angeles. Incredible downtown area, safe, great schools. The commercial real estate is impeccable. Getting into this neighborhood is very primed, and I hope you get the opportunity. If you're not familiar with where Pasadena is, it sits up about 11 miles northeast of downtown LA. So not ideal if you're trying to make that west side commute every day. Trust me, you don't want to go that route. But if you're comfortable on this east side, Pasadena is the spot to go. We're going to break down everything that's important. We're going to look at the numbers and the finances of the neighborhood. I know it's not the most exciting aspect of the real estate game. Looking at, fancy bathrooms, the back porch, all that kind of good stuff is more attractive. But you got to know this stuff if you're considering buying in the neighborhood, if you're a current homeowner as well. So we're going to break down everything that's important to you, current statistics, month over month, year over year, get you fully set up as we progress through 2024. Let's go. Before we get into the specifics of Pasadena, I do want to just give you a little bit of insight as far as what's going on with rates. Obviously, that is a big factor in the real estate game that killed us last year. It's hurting us now. Jerome Powell just came out recently with his first Fed meeting. They kept the rates where they're at. He made it pretty clear they're still waiting to see as that inflation number gets closer and closer to 2%. We're not anticipating him to make any cuts when he comes out here on March 20th. May 1st is optimistic, but it might not be till June or later till we start seeing those cuts. The market are still anticipating 3 cuts throughout this year, which is going to bring in some buyers, raise prices, hopefully start enticing some people to bring their houses back to the market. And that's where we kind of stand. But we're going to stay at it. We're going to stay after it. And we're going to find out what we can do to get you some home ownership or, give you some understanding as far as what's going on. So out in Pasadena right now, we got 83 homes available for sale. 20 of those homes have done price cuts. So about 24% of the market. Normally you see 24% price cuts in a certain neighborhood. That's a huge red flag. Something's going wrong in the neighborhood. There's crime, whatever the situation is. That is just not the essence of what we've dealt with over the past 16, 18 months. It's just a matter there's not enough buyers who are out there trying to pay. We just saw the rates jump back over 7%. So, when people have to sit on their home for 2 months, they get impatient, and unless your realtor is going to go out and do some additive marketing, which most don't, you're going to be forced to do some price shops to kind of pick that up. Now, it is a little bit of an increase from last month. We only had 78 in January, so we're starting to see a little bit creeping up. But 2023 was a terrible year for inventory, and we were over 100 consistently in Pasadena. So we're still looking at about 20% growth we need just to get back to the 2023 number. So we're definitely looking hard for some inventory to kind of come into play. Minimum to get in the neighborhood right now is $699K. That home needs a little bit of work. You're not really going to get into Pasadena in any essence, for under $700K. So not necessarily a turnkey home there, but maybe something if you have kind of the funds and the time to kind of develop that and you want to get in, because obviously if you can put a beautiful home on that lot, you're talking about a home that is definitely worth well over $1 million. High end, we got a home available for $32 million. It sits right on Oak Knoll. If you know Oak Knoll, it's one of the most beautiful streets in all of Los Angeles and all of the country. Beautiful homes throughout. That home is incredible. Average price right now, $3.254, $370. Normally, we see home prices in Pasadena on average throughout all of 2023 at 2.4 to 2.6. So don't think we've had 33% appreciation over just a couple of months. It's really an essence that the high ticket price homes are not getting demand because no one can afford to pay a 7% interest rate on homes that are north of 3 million, 4 million. We're seeing that drastically. If you just look up the road a little bit to Locking Out of Flint Ridge, probably the most expensive east side neighborhood from an average perspective, about $4.4 million per home. 2 months in a row, the average days on market in that neighborhood have been over 100. So people just aren't able to take on the high ticket prices, which Pasadena has a lot of. And until we start seeing more inventory come in that relevant $2 million range, high $1 million range, this number is getting influx right now, which isn't necessarily a great thing. Median price gives us a little bit better of a perspective of what you can anticipate from the neighborhood because it sits at 1.9 998. Obviously, that $32 million house is going to drive up the number big time. 83 homes on the market. It shouldn't be that big of an influence. But like I mentioned, it's just a matter of those homes that are high ticket price in the neighborhood, which there are a lot of, are not getting interest that they would like to get. Our days on market right now, 75. Last month it was 90, so we brought the number down a little bit as some new homes came onto the market. But the golden number when it comes to days on market is 60, right? Because if you put your home up for sale and you're a homeowner, you have to sit for 2 months, right? 60 days. That is not what you were anticipating. That is not what you were hoping. That was not your game plan. And when you get to that 60-day mark, patience starts to dwindle and you have to make price cuts. Like I said, unless your agent's going to go out and do some additive marketing and find ways to really, build the perspective and the value of that home and bring in some new people, price cuts is really the only weapon you have at your disposal. We take a quick look into February of last year, see how things are looking from a year-over-year perspective. We had 39 homes sell at 102% clip, so it's okay on the sales side of things. Hopefully we can get close to that number from a year-over-year perspective. We're really anxious to see increased sales from a year-over-year perspective. We need the rates to help us out there. We need inventory to bounce back up, but 2% over list price is pretty good, shows a little bit of demand. When we check in next month for March, subscribe to the channel. We do this every single month. We'll be able to tell you specifically what happened in February because it's very important, especially if you're somebody who's looking in the neighborhood, to know exactly what happened last month because that's going to prepare you for exactly what you're getting into. But let's do that now and take a look and see how January ran in Pasadena. With the lack of inventory, you get lack of sales, right? That's just cause and effect. That is simple. And in Pasadena in January, like a lot of places on the east side, we've really seen slow progressions as we move into 2024. We only had 40 sales selling at 102% clip, meaning on average 2% above that list price. So keep that number in mind. If you do see a home that's attractive in Pasadena, try to have the anticipation that maybe, especially if it's a new home that just got into the market and you think there's going to be some heavy attraction from the buyers that are available, probably anticipate a 2%, above that list price is probably a formidable offer to give yourself a chance. But we're seeing this, drastically across the east side. Because of the kind of scope of the real estate market, everybody knows that things aren't great and rates are high. It makes it very hard for people to sell their home. It puts a lot of buyers in a position where they can't afford to purchase that home. But we look at like December, we had 64 sales in Pasadena. So just 37% decline moving into January. We just really, across the east side, did not see people making those preparations, which happens in December, right? People don't always make the preparations over the holidays to get it ready for January. But normally we do have a little bit better bounce back than this. But yeah, we only had 40 homes sell in Pasadena last month. The low end was $701K. That home needed a little bit of work. As I mentioned, $700K is not turnkey, beautiful home, Pasadena type world. Maximum, we had a home sell for $4.320. That was a cash buyer, but it is nice to see. You always want, in any type of neighborhood, the ceiling to continue to slowly rise because it kind of brings everything up with it. So it's nice to see a $4 million. We're not seeing a lot of $5 million plus deals being done. They changed some of the tax structures last year in California. And like I mentioned earlier, people just can't finance at 7% for a $5, $6, $7, $32 million home. So it really just kind of puts the entire market into a cash buyer only situation. So average price for the homes that sold, 1.543, 859. That is one of the lowest we've seen in months out in Pasadena. Kind of falls back to that same theory we talked about, in the last segment, where these homes that are the higher ticket prices are sitting. People want to get into Pasadena, so they're kind of, I don't want to say settling, but they're taking off some concessions and buying the homes that they can afford. The median price for the sales was 1.315, 437. That's a $150K drop off the 64 sales we saw in December. So it dropped, last month it was about 1.46, somewhere in that range, and now we're down to 1.135. The median is a good number to kind of throw in there additionally with the average, just because you'll sometimes have some outliers. Obviously, if we see that $32 million home go off the books, that's going to drive up the average price. So the median kind of gives us a little bit better of a sense as far as that stuff goes. Days on market for the homes that sold was 35, which is really on the upper end for the homes that have sold. The one thing I will say in regards to this is if you're thinking about buying in Pasadena very soon this year, get with an agent now. Start getting that professional help. It costs you no money, and you're getting extra eyes on the perspective. And the big thing, too, is when that home comes available that you want, you don't want to be starting the process then, right? You don't want to be talking to lenders. You don't want to be talking to agents, because by the time you get done with all of that and then you try and go in and make that offer, there's probably some other people who are attracted to that house for the same reasons. It's going to be off the board. So get with an agent sooner than later, whether it's me or anybody else. It's in your best interest to do so. Taking a quick peek and to see how January of 2023 was 54 homes sold at a 98% clip. So a pretty solid number. 54 homes is, 14 more than we saw this year. So that's a 26% decline. From a revenue perspective, it was huge, right? We saw $61 million in revenue this year compared to $90 million in revenue last year. And that's a kind of huge number to kind of take, prices progress, right? Inflation was 9%. Inflation is now around 3%. Like, prices increase, home prices have not dropped. So when you see about a, 60 to 90 perspective when it comes to the total revenue in the neighborhood, that's a pretty glaring number and should give you some insight as far as where we're at. So we're hoping as we progress, into March, April, May, into the June months, if we can get that rate cut sooner than later, maybe the inventory will bounce and we'll start getting some positives. We've got to see some year over year, increases in some of these neighborhoods, because we can't have 26% declines off a 2023 number that wasn't that good, right? That's just not good. We're just going to keep dwindling down as far as the real estate market goes, and it's not in the best interest of anybody who has the hopes of owning a home in the future. Thank you so much for watching the video. We do this every single month for almost every neighborhood on the east side. We're doing Pasadena, Silver Lake, Eagle Rock, Highland Park, Glendale, La Cañada, El Sereno, Cypress Park. The list goes on and on. So like and subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined. If you're somebody who's looking to purchase a home on the east side of Los Angeles or sell your home, I am happy to help out with you. Reach out to me. You can send me a direct message online, or all of my phone numbers are listed. Even if you're somebody who's hesitant with 7% interest rates, that puts us in the same boat. It always helps to start preparing for future opportunities, because you don't want to miss the boat there. We will tread lightly. We will look for value. We will get it done. I also do a ton of other videos. I get into the schools. I get into, the restaurants in the neighborhood. I get into the attractions in the neighborhood. I do some other fun videos like quick cribs. So once again, like and subscribe if you are so inclined. Have a great day. Be kind.
Yeah.